They would both like to be out of the Indian business. They would both like Indians sort of to go away and make their lives easier. I think the Canadians have, maybe because there was less violence throughout Canadian history than in the US in terms of white-Indian relations, I think perhaps they've been easier to deal with for the native people. And in Canada, of course, the Indians are a sizable portion of the population. In the United States, they're only 1.5%, they're less than 2%. So that's not a voting bloc of any sort that any politician is going to worry about. I'm not sure I would agree with your scholar, because the Indians see this as culturally just central, that they get back the remains of their ancestors, and also the cultural, particularly the religious paraphernalia and objects that have been in museums for a long time, and there have been bitter disputes. Actually, the University of California at Berkeley has caused the most trouble for Indians. They have objected the most strenuously to surrendering some of these things. And in some ways, it's unfortunate because not all of these tribal groups can handle these things. I mean, sure, they're going to take the bones and they're going to have their ceremonies and rebury them. But the cultural artifacts, for example, on one of our reservations in the White Mountains in Arizona, they got the material back, and then there was a fire, and it burned down the little tribal museum. So it might have been better off at the Smithsonian. At least it exists. You know, so there's some real argument about that. I think most scholars these days, even hardcore archaeology people, have come to the conclusion that this stuff belongs back in the hands of the Indians. But I don't see that as the Indians seeing that anyway as that or land. If they have a land claim, that doesn't go away. I mean, they just dig their heels in, and that's going to stay that way. Okay? It's geared primarily for American Indian students. There are foreign students there, there are British students, French students, German students, and maybe others. At least those are the ones I've met. Most do just a year because there isn't funding. The university, or the studies program hasn't funding for all of its people. And so, well, they could take language and literature. I mean, we have people from the medical school there who teach there. We have people from anthropology, from archaeology, from museum studies, from language, literature. So there's a wide variety of courses that people can take. They have language, literature, history, sociology, anthropology, archaeology, health studies, agriculture. They're all part of this. So it's like a big cafeteria in some ways, you know. And they have theory courses that students who are going to get a PhD must take, and they have more subject-oriented courses that then are piggybacked on top of these, the theory, or melded within them or something. Yeah.
Right, many thanks.